But have you watched Game 3 or Game 2 against Vanderbilt again?
So this may seem crazy. I haven't watched any of those games. I've seen all the highlights on Twitter, which are incredible. It seriously almost makes me cry every single time I watch them. But I haven't watched the games, probably just because life hasn't slowed down yet. I think over Christmas break, when I'm bored, I'm going to lock in and watch every single one of them. Rowdy came back to town about 2 weeks ago, and we were visiting. And he said, Coach, have you watched the games? And I said, no, I actually haven't. He said, man, you need to. You need to go back and watch every single game, starting with the Super Regional, because you'll appreciate it even more. And so I am. I'm going to lock it at some point, but I have not watched them at all. How about that?
Wow. Okay, yeah, you're going to have to dial in over the Christmas holidays. So when you were walk me through it. Y'all, I can't go through it all, but I'd like to go through. Y'all get beat in game 1. You come back in game 2 to push it to game 3, and you're facing Kumar Rocker. Now, I mean, this is bang, 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 right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's not like y'all had a lot of time. But what are you telling your hitters? What are you sharing? Because it was a 24-hour turnaround, and they know all
Right.
about Kumar and have faced him. But what's your approach in that short of a turnaround going against a talent like that?
Well, it's really interesting, and I'm going to try to make it as short as I can for you because it's pretty in-depth. But let's go back to game 1. We lose that game. Obviously, we had a very special group last year. And when Coach Lem talks to them in the dugout, as soon as his talk is over, I'm putting my stuff away in my bag, and they're grabbing me as they walk by, and they're telling me, hey, just so you know, we're winning tomorrow. Or the next guy will walk by and say, Coach Goat, don't worry, we're golden. We got this thing tomorrow. We will win tomorrow. So everybody was talking like that. So we go into game 2, do a really good job, win that game. And then just like you said, now we're going into game 3. That group of players, that group of hitters that we had last year had seen him so many times in Kumar. Obviously, he had never lost a postseason game. We had never beat him, but we had actually done a really good job in regards to our approach and grinding him out and hard contact and not striking out too much. We had done a really good job over the last 3 years against him. So the long story short is we went into a little bit of a different plan against him this time. His fastball velocity hadn't been quite what everybody thought it was going to be that part of the year. And he had been throwing a lot of breaking balls. So we went in with a different plan of action, kind of against what we usually do. And it was more of a get in the box. You are being really, really stubborn to the fastball. If he's throwing the breaking ball, you're taking it until he throws it for a strike. Everybody kind of got in the box a little bit more of a 2-strike approach early instead of just getting in there and taking, big donkey hacks in hitters' counts. So we kind of just had a plan to be really, really stubborn and patient. We knew he was going to throw the curveball a lot more. He ended up doing that. And once he did throw the curveball a lot more, if it was in the zone, we jumped on it. But if it wasn't in the zone, our guys did a good job of taking it. And, he threw that ball away early, the comebacker in the first for the double play. And it just seemed like he was a little bit tight. And obviously our kids, in their defense, they were not. They were loose. They were confident. We had a plan, and they executed. And they just started chipping away. And then we caught some steam, and then it went from there.
Why do you think they weren't? Why do you and Lamonis and Foxhall think that group wasn't tight going into game 3 against Rocker on the national stage for the title?
I think there's probably a lot that goes into that. I thought Coach Lem did a great job towards the end of the year, even before Omaha, but especially in Omaha, of relaying the message to the boys that this game was their game. We have prepared. We have helped them along the way, but Coach Lem was almost their biggest cheerleader for about 15 days while we were there. And everybody was loose. We were confident. So I think there was a plan as the coaching staff how to attack those 2 weeks. But just the boys in general, they were such tough kids. They had been there now. That was their 3rd time. They were embracing the whole thing and really enjoying playing the game and having fun. And I just think at the end of the day, there was comfort because they knew they were not going to lose. They were not going to give in. That team started to click on a really special level of playing for each other and doing whatever it takes to win each and every game. And once you get a whole group going in that direction, it's about one of the most special things you can see as a coach. And they just weren't going to stop until they won the whole thing.
Jake Gautreau, MSU Baseball on the Out of Bounds show and the Bell's Two-Hearted L guest line. Lamona said that Notre Dame and Texas were arguably the two most loaded, talented teams that y'all faced in a run where the SEC was loaded, and obviously you played Vanderbilt in the championship series. How did you see it, Jake?
It was really interesting as the season evolved. I'll start with Texas. We play them opening day in Arlington. Those coaches are my friends. They're really good friends. Known them for a long time, and I'm going to make this a positive in a little bit here, but I was not impressed with their team early in the season at all. And then as the year went on, I was following them. I'd watch the games on TV if I could, and I could tell they were getting better. But when we got to Omaha, that Texas team was a totally different ball club. They were really, really good. I remember at some point, whatever game it was there, I'm in the hotel with my wife, and I said something like, "Man, this Texas team is really good, Aaron." And she said, well, you know, they're supposed to be better than you guys here. They're the number 2 seed. They have the best pitching staff in the country. And I started looking at it. I was like, you know what? I think you're right. I think we're the underdog. But they had earned that. They were really, really, really good. So they were tough. Those arms, their plan of attack as a pitching staff was really, really impressive. You had to really grind those guys out. So I was extremely impressed with them in Omaha, especially knowing where they started. And then Notre Dame, yeah, they were just a really, really good ball club. Obviously, we didn't see them early in the year, but we were in tune to their team in general throughout the season. A ton of really good arms, some really crafty lefties. They had power out of the bullpen. The thing for them was they play on turf at home, and they had played crazy clean baseball defensively all year. Besides the fact that they had a really good approach in the box, they kind of reminded me of our offensive philosophy a little bit. They were going to really fight you with 2 strikes and use the whole field. But they had played flawless defense all year, and they got here. Obviously, we're not turf, and there was about 15,000 screaming maniacs to start that game. And I think they played a little bit tight and uneasy defensively because they did kick some balls and make some errors that ended up obviously really helping us out in the end. The dude effect got them a little bit.
Jake Gautreau on the Out of Bounds show. So Tim Corbin talked about the hitting approach from Mississippi State after the game, and just the two strike approach. You know, he mentioned Hancock and all these guys. Yeah, walk me through that approach philosophy, because he could not say enough about your hitters in the 2 strike spot.
Yeah, so I've known Coach Corbs for a long time. Obviously, I have a ton of respect for him. He was my coach with Team USA when I was in college. And I saw that interview live when it happened. And basically he said, you know, if you look at the stat sheet, they're hitting 280 as a team. You're out of your mind if you're going to go into that game thinking you're playing a 280 ball club. And then he mentioned Luke Hancock. He said Luke Hancock has 44 walks to 17 strikeouts on the season. He goes, in the SEC, that's insanity. And it's a huge compliment to Luke Hancock because he's obviously a special player. He buys in. But to do what he did in regards to strike zone discipline in this league is nuts. But I could probably talk on this one all day. This one started my first year here, and it kind of just has kind of grown into this monster of who we are, our culture. Yes, it wins games, and it's not like there's a focus on it every day, and it's very important to me. But I think what a lot of people get out of it is the toughness, the never give in. You're going to have to kill us if you want to beat us mentality in the box, you know. But I think the 2-strike fight, we call it, it's just making an adjustment, really. It's making an adjustment physically in regards to how you stand in the box. The little chest dap is just more for us as coaches and his teammates to know that he's bought into it. It also gives him a little bit of a time to take a deep breath and slow everything down. But you're just trying to widen out and stay as late as you possibly can. I call it trying to delay your decision as long as you possibly can and not get big and not take huge swings. We're going to stay short, and we are going to fight you like crazy, and we're not going to give in. You know, at the end of the day, that guy's trying to embarrass you and trying to punch you out on the slider in the dirt or whatever it may be, and we're just not going to let him embarrass us. And look, it's the game, and you're going to strike out.
Sure.
You're going to strike out a lot. But as long as I see guys bought in and trying, I'm totally good with it. There is definitely a method to the madness. It's simple, but it's quite lengthy, and I feel like I would be probably wasting your time on the show. But it's just a mentality, and it's a want to buy in and not give in, and we're not going to let you strike us out. Is kind of the thought process there.
So we've had you on several times talking about Jake Mangum and his approach and what it was like to coach him and y'all working together. Why is Tanner Allen such a special hitter, regardless of who he's matched up against or facing, Jake?
Besides the fact that he's just a special hitter, the kid can roll out of bed and hit. He's got a beautiful swing. It's a very efficient path. He has bat speed. He has ability to use the entire field. Besides the piece that he is just a talented hitter, it is his brain. And what I mean by that is the competitor, the confidence, the leader, the work ethic. You can kind of keep going. And I laugh. When I think of this, I laugh all the time. And I meant it when I said it, and I mean it today. When Jake Mangum left us, he had the brain. He was the competitor. He had the will to win. He was just going to find a way to beat you. And I said, as Jake moved on, I said, I've never had one like him, and I never will have another one like him. And little did I know that 5-year-old Tanner Allen, who was a freshman or sophomore, we had one just like him, and he was on our team. And just watching TA mature over the years as a hitter, but as a person, and move into that leadership role was really, really special. He was electric last year, like hitting for power. He was running better than he's ever run in his life. If we needed a big hit, he got it every single time. You never saw him not run through the bag with everything he had on a rollover ground ball. It was just incredibly impressive in regards to how he went about his business every day, especially when the lights came on. When he stepped in that batter's box, he was a dog, and he was not going to give in. It was aggressive. He was trying to smother you no matter how he went about it. He was trying to attack your fastball, or he was trying to take the extra base. He just played so hard for us last year. But those guys are special because of their makeup and how they go about it. And those two dudes, it's pretty fun when you have those guys in your dugout.
I bet. He is Jake Gautreau. Has just coached Jake Mangum, Rowdy Jordan, Tanner Allen, among others. He joins us on the Out of Bounds show. Obviously, they're coming off a national championship. We're happy to finally catch up with Jake as he was on the road recruiting and so on, then fall ball and everything else. I want to go back to Game 3 real quick, then Blake's got a question. But Rowdy led your squad off with a hit. And you mentioned some things started to unravel for Vanderbilt, and that's not Vanderbilt's style. And y'all's squad was loose. How big was it, Rowdy's hit, to lead the game off as far as dugout mentality, confidence, so on?
It was huge. So as a coach, I never get too high, I never get too low. Sure, in games like that, you have the butterflies, but my biggest goal is to be the same guy every day. And so when you wake up those mornings for those games in Omaha, you feel different. Wake up, my wife looks at me and she says, "Are you okay?" Yeah, I'm fine. Why? Well, because you look different today. But I just need to get through the hitters meeting and get to the ballpark. The hitters meeting is very important to me because at that moment I get a feel for how they're feeling, what they're thinking, and I just want to do my best to prepare them for that game tonight, for that first at bat, give them a great plan so that we are ready to rock and roll. And so I thought we had a great meeting, and that's when you have a special team. I start that meeting about Kumar, and I can't even get the words out, and they're giving it back to me. Like, they're saying what I'm about to say, and they're nodding their heads, and I'm like, okay, we're on to something here. And then the feel of our team when we get to the yard was really, really loose. I'm wondering, like, oh my goodness, are we too loose? You know, but there was really no such thing with that group because you knew when the game started they were going to get after it. But Rowdy leads off with that single. How about this? The shadows were really bad. He seemed to be on time, and it looks like a good swing. And the place erupts and goes crazy. And I'm looking up in the sky. I'm trying to find the ball. I never saw the ball off the bat. And then I see it rolling in the right field. And I think I looked at Bobby Austin or Tyler Younger. I said, okay, it's go time. And then obviously the boys went from there. But it just gives everybody a little bit of a sense of relief. You can relax a little bit and go. You know, we were just trying to be short and above Kumar's fastball if he threw it. And like I said, if he threw a lot of breaking balls, we were going to attack the ones in the zone, but we were going to be really stubborn on the ones down. And Rowdy got us going. He was our spark plug there for sure. He ended up having a really big at-bat. It might be in his second at-bat with 2 strikes and 2 outs. I think he dumped that ball down the left field line for a double and knocked in a few.
Huge. Jake Gautreau on the Out of Bounds show. You mentioned something to me out at Omaha, and you said, all right, so you've had the highest of the high in the game. All right, you've been a first-round pick for the New York Yankees. And then that didn't work out. You went on, you got into a baseball career, and so on. And now you're with Mississippi State, one of the top assistants in the country. You've turned down head coaching jobs, so on. But you're coming off a national championship. Talk about the whole highest of the high, going through some other things, and then winning a national championship. Have you had time to reflect on that, whether it was in an airport or a long road trip in the car during recruiting?
You know what makes me really reflect on a lot of it is when I see those videos on Twitter that people are putting together and they're showing that run in maybe a minute clip. It does allow me to reflect. I think we did. We came home. We had the parade, which was one of the coolest things ever. We went to Coach Lim's house the next day, and then boom, I was off on the road. I think we did like 27 nights in a row. Then we came back. My children started school. We started school, and we were back on the field. So there hasn't been a whole lot of time to really reflect on it. But I think I've done enough, and I think I think it's finally sinking in. But going back to your deal, I haven't really thought about it in regards to my career and things like that. More just how special last year was and how special that group of kids were. I mean, from the very, very beginning, I knew there was something about them. And we weren't playing great early. We were playing well, but we weren't playing great. But we were getting the big hit. We were hitting the walk-off back-to-back days, back-to-back weekends. They just kept coming. They were never going to stop. So I think that's what I reflect on and I'm most proud of. Now, going back to my career, when everything shut down in 2009, you know, at some point, every player is going to be told that his time has come, that he's got to retire. So 2009 was my time, and at the time, I didn't really realize or understand why it was happening. And I'd been battling some illnesses for those full 9 years, 10 years I was in pro ball. But now that I'm coaching, I feel like it all makes a lot more sense, you know, and it was the best transition ever in my life to go from playing on the field in a uniform to being right back on the field in a uniform, trying to help out young kids that are eager and they're sponges. They just want to learn, you know. And what I'm finding out is a lot of the time that I can help the boys here, it's not so much having to do with my days of, you know, being a good player. It's more about my days of being a good player that really, really struggled in pro ball. My struggles, all those times, all those experiences are what I'm finding to be the most beneficial and most helpful in helping these guys get better every single day. You know, it could be something mechanically in their swing. It could be something mentally, but it all makes a lot more sense now. And my playing career was fun, but man, to be able to be here with these boys and see them go every day and see it start to click and they're getting better and they're winning at a high level like we just did, won the whole thing, and they're getting drafted in the first round. There's really nothing better than that.
All right, what about Bednar? Real quick, we got time for one more question. We got about 2 to 3 minutes here.
He's an absolute animal. Absolute animal. His freshman year, they called him Ox. I'm like, why are you guys calling him Ox? They said, because he's the strongest guy in the weight room as a freshman. The best. Personality, a little bit quirky, a little bit dorky. Game starts, lights come on between the lines. He is the meanest, nastiest dude you've ever met in your life. My man became a legend. We knew he was really, really good. And he was good early in the year. He took his lumps here and there, but boy, did he get it going late. And he just kept feeding off that energy, and we were feeding off his energy. I've never seen anything like it. Real quick, you probably got to get me off. Before game 2 of Vandy in the Natty, in BP, I went over to him, and me and Cheese always used to bust him up, give him a tough time. I always joke with him. I said, hey, I'm not joking. Do you have one in you tomorrow? And he took his sunglasses off and looked at me and said, what do you mean? What do you mean, do I have one? And I find out that night that he's starting, and then we couldn't take the ball out of his hand. He gave us, 5 or 6 unbelievable innings, and the rest is history.
Incredible. Jake Gautreau, MSU Baseball on the Bell's Two-Hearted Ale guest line. All right, we'll have to do it again soon. Appreciate you jumping on this morning.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Hell State.
Jake Gautreau on the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone ESPN. Trying to make that happen for the last few months. He went 27 straight nights on the road. Think about what these guys do for your programs. Unbelievable. How about that, Blake?
Yeah, I know.
You're in Omaha till July 1 or whatever. You have the celebration. They celebrate at Lamonis's house, and then boom, 27 nights on the road to wrap up another top 5 class.
I'm calling him back. I got to do my own interview after the show. I got like another 1,000 questions.
But that was pretty good.
Oh, it's great. I just want more. I want all of it.
The Out of Bounds Show is brought to you by Mississippi Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Center. Visit MississippiSportsMedicine.com for any orthopedic hiccup. Their crew out and about for high school sports around the Jackson metro area. New surgery center and clinic, Lakeland Drive, Flowood. MississippiSportsMedicine.com. Show is also brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent. If you missed any of the show today, go to Apple Podcast and search the Out of Bounds Show. We'll see you tomorrow.